Hello, I'm Ted Hahs, and I'm here with my friends Tracy Hutson and Kathy Chao Rothberg. And we've been having conversations about hope and about restoration and about changing the system and helping people in crisis get out of crisis. Been very, very rich. Last night, Tracy made the mistake of watching the news, and you can imagine how well she slept. And
Yeah,
last night,
myself.
Kathy,
Yeah,
and
it's not a,
last night, instead, Kathy was preparing for this by watching some of Tracy's episodes of Extreme Makeover Home Edition. And you see the contrast. Well, Kathy's on the front lines making a difference, helping the refugees. So let's just dive right into it. So, Tracy, do you want to give a little bit more introduction of yourself and then take it from here?
well, you know me. I'm not great at introducing myself, but I am Tracy Hutson. I am just honored to be here today with Ted, of course, and Kathy. Kathy, I've been really looking forward to talking with you, and I can't wait to meet you in person. I know that COVID has not quite yet us, meet in person yet, but this is a good first step, and I think it's really important that we connect. And I want to hear about your initiatives, how you got started, a little bit about your story, and see how I can help or how we can, all get the word out so that we can better serve you.
Thank you. Okay, so it's my turn. I'm Kathy Chao Rothberg. I'm the CEO of a Northern California charity called Lao Family Community Development Corporation. And we're headquartered in Oakland, but we're located in 3 different counties in Alameda County, Contra Costa County, and Sacramento County. Our organization was founded 42 years ago, and I was 10 at the time when I started helping my father, because my father co-founded the organization in our 3-bedroom apartment in the city of Richmond in Northern California. And our family came here as refugees from the country of Laos because the Mien people, Lao people, and the Hmong people assisted the United States during the Vietnam War. And because of our assistance to the US military, we became political refugees and had to resettle to the United States, specifically to the Bay Area. And so from that genesis of being displaced, of having to move to a new country to learn a new language. English, for example, is my 5th language. It's my primary language now. But of course,
Did you say 5th
yeah,
language?
yeah.
So, like second language.
That's so amazing. I'm in awe. Yeah.
I have about 126 staff, and most of my staff are bilingual, trilingual, or they speak 4 languages. And, we serve about 31,000 people a year. We deliver service Monday through Friday, as well as Saturdays and Sundays. And we have mobile service, and we deliver service in 33 languages. Wow. So the population that we serve has rapidly changed. In the beginning, when we first came, of course, it was fellow refugees from the country of Laos, because our mission work is to assist families so that they can thrive. Okay, so to become self-sufficient so they can thrive. And in order to be self-sufficient, you really need education, you need good income, and you need to have assets. And assets is your education, your skills, housing, and savings. You need health insurance, and you need to have mental health, and you need schools and skills. That's what you need to become self-sufficient, to take care of yourself and your family, so you can become a contributing member of society, right?
Absolutely. Right. But to have all of those services, or one place that you can trust that can assist you in those, I couldn't imagine, first of all, being so young and being uprooted and brought to another country in such awful circumstances, and just the stress that would bring. And maybe through your own journey, obviously with your father being the founder of this organization, there clearly must have been a huge need, and all of these services are scattered and not one place that you could go to trust that you were getting the right information.
Correct. So we were the 4th family from our culture to arrive in the Bay Area. And imagine that you're from the mountains, You haven't driven a car, you don't have flushing toilets, you don't have a banking system, you don't have a voting system, and you have to learn all of those things. And then to be living in one of the most expensive and competitive markets in the whole United States, in the whole world, which is the San Francisco Bay Area. Imagine that.
I can't imagine it now. I couldn't imagine it.
We're seeing this theme throughout the interviews, that it's out of tragedy and hard times that actually redemption comes. And now, you know, out of your own experience, you've built this amazing organization. I've been bragging about you to my friends, and I was very impressed to see your results. And I'm like, they're like, I'm a basketball player, so I always use basketball metaphors. Like, they're like the Warriors. When you watch them play, they're playing the same game, but they're just so much better than everybody else. So, like, really impressed at the organization you've built. So,
thank you, Ted. Tracy and Ted, we like to say that, when you're a charitable organization, even though we're a charity, we're still a business, and we're in the business of service, okay? And sometimes it's about excellent service, and excellent service for a person who's homeless, or a person who's a refugee, or a woman with children who's fleeing domestic violence, is really, a lot of times you can't even see it, because it's not like when you're improving an extreme makeover home edition, you see the house that you renovated. When you're serving people, the service that we're giving to them, you may not be able to physically see it, but you're helping them mentally, emotionally, and financially to overcome. So like you were saying, Tracy, earlier, when you're a refugee, and we've taken everything that we've learned in serving refugees to American-born, high barrier populations, like a person who's been homeless or somebody who's been incarcerated. Imagine this statistics, that 90% of men who come out of incarceration are actually homeless. Wow. And before they went to jail, many of them they experienced homelessness in their life already. And then when they come out, 90% of men come out and they're homeless. They don't have a place to live. And about 40% of women, when they come out of incarceration, are homeless. And so, like you said, when you come out of incarceration, after you've been incarcerated, say for 20 years, you come out, and the world has changed, rapidly changed. We have mobile phones, and look how social media is being used for work. And imagine that you don't have a car, you don't have your social security card, you don't have your birth certificate, you don't have a driver's license, you don't have your ID card anymore, you don't have a place to live, you have bad credit, and you've been incarcerated. Now you have to learn everything again, and you don't have a personal transportation. Often you might have collections in regards to your car, and you've been excluded from banking already because of maybe past behavior of non-sufficient fund. And so now you're excluded from being able to open a bank account, and you're excluded from being able to work, because there's over 4,000 laws that prohibit and create barriers for a person who came out of incarceration.
Wow. Where do you start?
Exactly. Where do you start? And there's so many good groups out there. I mean, there are faith-based organizations, there are community-based organizations, but a person who's homeless or came out of incarceration, or is a woman who's fleeing domestic violence, who doesn't have a car, doesn't have a bank account, doesn't have any credit or rental history, there's just so much. And so we need, first, is a place that they can go to, a neighborhood community center. And the neighborhood community center organization must have support and have funding and programming from so many different groups. Like, for example, our organization, we have about 80 contracts. So one of the things that I like to share with you is that charities, nonprofit charities, if you're in the mental health, you often only have mental health money. If you're in physical health, you have physical health. If you're in basic service like food or clothing, you're often just in that lane. But a person is a whole person. They have a family, right?
Yeah, you need it all.
You need it all. You need legal services, you need food, you need housing, you need basic services. So we need to have a one-stop center where nonprofits and groups that serve a family come together. Because you can't expect a woman with 3 kids and a baby to take the bus and to walk to 7 different organizations.
No, not at all. I mean, it's hard to take 3 kids anywhere, right? But especially like,
I think
Yeah,
that's
Los Angeles.
yeah,
and that's what touched me. Like, part of your secret sauce is, I mean, I say your secret sauce is they really care. You know, like, you come out of your own experience and you haven't left those roots. Like, you identify with these people you're serving in a very deep way. So that's the most important one. But then being able to bring all these services that are necessary, and any one is mission critical. Like, if this one piece blows up, like you were talking about transportation, they have everything else, but if they can't get to it, it's not going to succeed. And your holistic approach is one of the reasons why you're getting such good results.
Right. You know, when you're serving somebody who's in an urgent situation, like someone who's homeless, who's, fearing for their life, they've been abused or assaulted, responsiveness is critical. Just like you call 911, you expect the ambulance and the police to arrive in 2 minutes. We need to be the same when we're serving somebody who's in crisis. We need to be within 30 minutes to 72 hours. That's our motto. 30 minutes to 72 hours. You need to be there where they're at, because they can't come to you. So you got to go to them, or you got to send them a lift so that you bring them over. So rapid response is critical. The second thing is you need to have a one-stop, because somebody like who's disabled, who's in a wheelchair, who's fleeing assault, you can't expect them to get down to the police department and the clinic. We need to provide that service for them. And so one is we need to be able to convene a location where we bring it to them. We got to go to them. And we have to be responsive. And then secondly, so many of us, like organizations like Lao Family and so many groups in Los Angeles, San Diego, all over the Bay Area, we do good work, but we focus on delivering our work. And we're not savvy in our social media. We don't have funding necessarily for marketing and promotion. So we need help with like movie stars and TV personnel, social media personnel to help get our story out, the good work that we're doing, so that individuals who care, who want to know deeply how we do it and what needs to get done, could come and visit us and come to the street with us, and they can see for themselves. And that makes a difference, Tracy, when you can be there and you're talking to them.
Absolutely. Just being present. Yeah. I was just going to say, how would someone even know how to contact you? How did these women, that have been abused, for instance, a domestic situation, how would they even know how to contact you?
So our service, especially when it comes to the DV service, we have a 24-hour service hotline. Okay. So they can first go to our website, and if they have a friend, a website, through their phone, is at www.lfcd.org, or call us 510-533-8850. They can call us.
Repeat that number again.
510-533-8850.
So if someone happens to be watching this on YouTube right now, they can call you if they're in a dangerous situation, and if they're in your service area, which is the Bay Area, basically.
Yes. Even in Los Angeles and San Diego, if they call us, we will help them, and we'll connect them to one of our local partners out over there so that they can help them. And some of our service, Tracy, we actually can help throughout the whole state of California.
That's incredible. Wow. I mean, I can only imagine how many lives you have helped, and how many women you've protected, and children and displaced families. And it's just, I mean, the work you were doing is so inspiring, to say the least. And so let me back up a little, because I have so many questions. But so for instance, the housing, that you have right now? You said you have 14 different little communities. Is that right? Or are they?
Well, we have 14 different program locations as well as housing sites. So for example, so we work with both motels, Airbnb, and regular apartments, and we're building housing too. So for example, if you are in the Los Angeles, San Diego, or the Bay Area, and you have a property that you listed on Airbnb. So we have an agreement with Airbnb where we have credits with Airbnb. So when we're trying to help a family who's homeless, we stabilize. First is we rapidly house them. We house them through either an Airbnb or a roommate situation or a motel. And then we help them with their jobs and removing their barriers. And then after they're supported with our organization, then we put them into their own apartment. And we help to pay for their security deposit, first month rent, and last month rent. And Tracy, for many of these women and individuals who are homeless, that's what they need. Yeah. They need a landing place to stabilize.
I mean, I'm sure, right, like they're in a crisis, they're trying to figure out how to get themselves out and their children out of that situation. And I can't even imagine, moving is so expensive. First and last month's rent, like you said, utilities, just what it takes to move yourself is, that's, I'm sure, the main reason most people stay in these relationships as long as they do, or in these environments, because they don't see the way out.
Exactly. And so then something simple, like if you have an extra, room or a guest house, or ADU, and you're already signing up with Airbnb. We have an agreement with Airbnb, and we have credit at a Airbnb where it's market rate. And so then that credit, we will put the family into that unit. And so then while they're in the unit, we're working with them for income and jobs and the police and CPS and, child protective services and counseling and legal services. Sure. We stabilize them. And then, or else if we don't have an Airbnb, we have agreements with multiple motels. So we have like 100 rooms at a motel. And so we'll put the families there, whether it's there for up to 2 months while we're looking for an apartment or we're stabilizing them. The key, Tracy, and the community that needs to know is that if we get to them very quickly and we're able to solve their problem, their situational problem, within like 6 months, then they don't have to become a chronically homeless person who's been homeless for 10 years.
The longer you're homeless, the more your problems compound. Like we talk a lot about the connection between mental illness and homeless, but we don't see it operating the other way. Like they did some study, and every day you're you're homeless translates into like something like 7 weeks of psychotherapy or treatment that you'll need to overcome it. Like there's a direct linear relationship, which makes a lot of sense. Like one of my friends said he was never mentally ill, but if you saw him at his lowest state, you would have thought he was a paranoid schizophrenic because he was so strung out on drugs and all this. And he says, you try sleeping underneath an overpass, and you're afraid all night that someone's going to rob you. It's especially bad if you're a woman. He says, and then a rat runs across your face in the middle of the night. He says, that's not good for your mental health, to say the least. So yeah, rapid response is a best practice. We need to do it. And it saves so much money, not to mention people.
Correct.
And you add children to that scenario, and it's just, how do you get them to school? How do you feed them? How do you, it just, I can't even imagine. So yes, I agree.
Another thing that our community can do, Tracy, is that our community could say yes in my backyard. Don't say no, not in my backyard. Say yes, in my backyard. Meaning that one of the solutions, homelessness can be resolved. We need to have every individual person, we need to have a plan for permanent housing is one of their plans. Okay, so that means that there's a lot of buildings all over Los Angeles, San Diego, Riverside, San Francisco, the East Bay, Sacramento. There's all these streets. think of a street in Los Angeles that's underused, dilapidated, a building that's boarded up.
It's
You know,
endless. Yeah.
and we as citizens, as
Mhm.
voters, as homeowners, business owners, have to say to our elected official, give zoning permission, make
Yeah.
changes so that we can reuse those buildings.
Yeah.
It incentivizes businesses to repaint the building, landscape it, make improvements to the
Mhm.
physical structure, and then we can house people. And of course, we have to take care of it because it needs to look attractive.
Sure.
But imagine we can create economic development. We can beautify our community.
Yeah.
It's green because we're using property, and it's much cheaper and faster to solve the problem. And of course, we have to build new housing, of course, but the cost of new housing for a 2-bedroom, the average cost of affordable housing is $700,000 to build. Imagine that if we took a building that's already there with a roof, with walls, with plumbing,
Yeah.
with foundation, it's
Right.
going to cost us less money to fix it.
Absolutely. The entire building you could do for the cost of 1 2-bedroom home easily.
Yes, right?
Oh, and tenfold. Right. You beautify something. I mean, I love being savvy with design, so I can really stretch a dollar and make it look really beautiful, but absolutely. And you're so right. It will help with the homeless situation. It will help beautify your community, and bring the community together, most importantly, and stop that barrier.
And change the mindset. Like, I
Yeah.
resonate so much with you. Like we were talking before, we need to realize the way you view the problem is the problem. And we look at homeless, and often the knee-jerk subconscious reaction is to blame them. The homeless are the problem, but they're not. They're actually part of the solution. And I believe what you're showing and modeling is that they're an untapped resource. We can make economic development, and it doesn't only make social sense and, sense because we're helping people, but it's actually much more economically feasible than the current status quo.
Yes, we cannot build our way out of our homeless problem in California.
Yeah.
But every person, each one of us in our community could contribute. We might have a piece of land that's vacant. We might have a room or a guest house, or we might have a building that we inherited or we bought or we have to close down. So instead of having vacant retail space that are dilapidated, that are spray painted on, instead of having a market or a professional building that's closed down, we can fix it. We can fix it. Let's reuse the property, and all of us contribute in that way. And it's all over the place. It's not just in one neighborhood, but it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Exactly. I know. I'm just thinking about even construction supplies. There's so much that goes wasted, and they're saying free, just come pick it up. There's paint, tile, sinks that aren't being used, brand new homes that just want to renovate, and they're just throwing this stuff away, and it can be repurposed in these buildings that are just sitting there. I mean, there's really there's a tie there that, you help each other. It doesn't just go to the landfill. It cleans up a property, and it's used and upcycled in a way that someone can live there and get on their feet.
Absolutely. And you know what? They may just need it for 6 months or a year or 2 years. And they may decide that they want to move back to, let's say they're from the East Coast and they want to be next to their family. Because part of the reason why people are homeless is because the support system, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, brother, sister, good friend, oftentimes those support systems are not there.
Yeah.
So if you stabilize them, and our community is beautified, we have economic development, we remove homelessness, and families are healthy. And then if they need to go back to wherever they're from, whether it's Arizona, Kansas, Boston, and they want to go back to their family, as long as hopefully the family situation is a healthy situation, right? And even if it wasn't healthy, now they have the resources and they don't need to go back to that situation.
Yeah. Right. You've given them hope, which is the theme throughout, right? That's really just what people need.
Hope.
Yeah.
We give them hope. We restore their ability to take care of themselves and to earn income, and the housing will give them respite, place that they rest, and they can be safe, so they can focus on caring for their children, their job, their school, their family. That's what we is, and I think that this concept of let's restore, renovate our community, give hope to our community, because everyone is so. I mean, there are lots of people who care, but they just don't know what to do.
I know.
Right?
Yeah,
They don't know what to do.
Myself included. I mean, I'm learning so much through these conversations and this interview with you, and just of where to start or where my services might be beneficial to just help the bigger issue here. But that's exactly right. It's just, it all matters. You know, it's not that I don't want to help. It's that, where do I start? Where do I help advocate? Where do I put my focus and time and resources? You know, even with the construction materials, that's a resource that I'm constantly sitting on and I'm aware of. There's construction, there's new buildings happening all around us. There's so much construction happening in Los Angeles, along with all of these vacant buildings that aren't being used. And the waste, to me, is just, it's a bigger problem. It's a global problem. It's adding to this problem, especially because it can be repurposed and reused. And a space that really needs it. I think that there definitely needs to be those conversations. I wanted to ask you, Kathy, I mean, it sounds clearly you have made huge strides, more so than anyone I've spoken to in my life, about how in success you're really helping these lives and helping with the homeless epidemic and so on and so forth. But how difficult has dealing with it, the community? Is there community support? Is there support with your council members? What would be the best way for me, I guess, in Los Angeles to really be beneficial with jurisdictions, new laws being passed? What do I really need to advocate for there?
Yes, thank you for asking that. And that's insightful. You know, in the last 45 months, we have helped over 3,000 people go from homelessness into permanent housing. And the way we did it was through using existing inventory. Like I said, that we can't build our way out of this housing crisis. So what we need is we need our community to call our electeds and to call our banks. Part of the problem is access to capital. And in the industry right now, everybody wants to do new affordable housing. And like I said, we need to have a holistic approach, and new affordable housing is one of the strategy. But we also need to use existing inventory. If you Google Redfin right now of the homes that are available for sale that are under 700,000 throughout the whole state of California, you know, I did it here for Sacramento. There's over 2,000 units of housing. Imagine that there's 2,000 units of housing that's under $700,000, and you add 3 rooms in each 3-bedroom house, and then that's the housing we need for Sacramento County. Right. And so one of the things is we need to let our elected officials know that getting the approval for zoning for reuse of a property, if you're asking us to wait for 2 years to do an escrow, who's going to sell us a property and wait for an escrow for 2 years? The other thing is, you know, someone like you, or Courtney, what's her friend, her name from Friends? She loves to renovate houses too.
Yes, right. Courtney Cox.
Yeah, Courtney Cox. So, you know, I think there's so many movie stars and individuals in the entertainment industry who are so good at, like you said, is how do you stretch a dollar? And so making our housing more affordable. Affordable housing is not affordable to develop. That's the irony. Okay. But if we were to reuse property and, you know, reuse a care home or a motel or a retail store and re-renovate the property and encourage our neighbors to get to know, because I think a lot of people have the wrong perception about a person who's homeless and their background, because they may the ones who are out there on the street. And there are individuals who are dealing with this, where they may be intoxicated and they may have alcohol, drugs, or some sort of other behavioral health, and they are on the street. We do have those individuals and they need help, but we also have a lot of people who are working, who are women, single, young people who came out of foster care, came out of jail. They need housing. And if you know their story and get to know who they are, they're really, they're good people.
Yeah. They just needed some help.
And that's the hidden group. We see the chronically homeless, and then we make judgment and extrapolate about the whole, but we don't see that there's a group that either are homeless, because they lost their house and now they're living in the couch of a friend or a family member, so they don't have a home. Or they're at high risk of being homeless. And if we can help them, it's like turning off the spigot, before mopping up the floor. It makes a lot of sense to stop to go upstream and to intervene before you wait, rather than just only treating those who are chronically homeless.
Right. And, Tracy, just like Mark Cuban, Mark Cuban was interviewed by Jon Stewart, and he talked about investing in, employees and the people in his system, people of color, workers. And so movie stars, the entertainment industry, just like the gig economy is an economy, investing in homelessness, it can also be an economy, that individuals who have worked hard, who have now become famous, and who has the resources and want to help the community, you can create a system where you can work with groups like nonprofit affordable housing community service providers like us, who know how to rapidly house people. And we have to be able to access capital. And capital right now is hard to access, but if movie stars or the entertainment industry could live with a 3% return or 4% return, 5% return on their investment to help a social cause, it would be, we would be able to access capital to do projects that have different kind of bottom line. It has a social bottom line, it has a financial bottom line, and you know what? It also has a green environmental bottom line.
Yeah, which is very important, obviously, but it hits all of those, right? They're all issues, and yes, they all need to be addressed. I'm just so energized. I had helped someone, it was right before COVID, but he was a gentleman. He had been homeless for years, and he had lived behind this art gallery in Culver City, and really neat, maybe in his 60s gentleman, but had gone through the Section 8 process, and it had taken him almost 3 years. But I finally helped move him in a couple of years ago, and I had extra furniture and extra plates and blankets and a bed and a mattress and all of these things. And first of all, it was super frustrating to know how long it took for this gentleman to get into some sort of housing. And secondly, it felt so good, just an afternoon helping this gentleman and getting to know him and watching his life really just change for the better and be a part of that was just, it's intoxicating. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's do it bigger. Why does it take so long? There has to be an easier, better way to make a bigger change. So I think that what you're doing is so invigorating. Yes. I'm ready to just get in the car with you.
Tracy, I need you to come up to Oakland because I have the perfect project for you. So
okay.
A shout out to the Motel 6 G6 Corporation, to their CEO, Rob, and their real estate director, Curtis. We have the largest vacant motel in California, in Oakland, next to the airport, 285 room motel.
Oh my God.
We are trying to convert into an amazing, it's called the CARE Campus. CARE stands for Community Accessing Resources and Education. And it's 5 buildings, 285. It needs a major facelift. And
I love this.
it is transforming lives. and you have to come and meet the men and women who live there, whose lives have been transformed. And Alameda County Probation Department, the city of Oakland is involved with us as well. So we would love for you to come up to Oakland, drive up, fly up, and we want to show you the property because it needs facelifting and we need financing to get to the next stage.
Tracy and I have been dreaming of Extreme Makeover Village Edition.
This is it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes. So Ted and I have been trying to figure out what dates I can come up. I'm just working with spring break kids and work, trying to keep roof over this, their heads. And I think early April is where, so I will definitely lock in a day or two with you and we can, tour the property, see what I can do. I've got some architect friends and some builders up in the Bay Area as well. I don't know, we can go through who all is already involved and how I can help. But this is
so inspire a movie star from Extreme Makeover. I'm serious. It's an amazing site, and I'm so grateful. I'm very grateful. We're very grateful to G6 Corporation for giving us the opportunity, and Alameda County for their leadership, especially the probation department. And the director, she's not there anymore, but her name was Wendy Steele. And she really believed in the work that we're doing. And you have to meet the individuals who live there because these are individuals who have been homeless, who were incarcerated for 10, 15, 20 years in their lives. And they were they came out and they're working, but they were homeless. And this property has given them now hope for a new life, and they're great dads and moms to their children and their families.
And the other point I want to make, it's not just the best way to develop to go forward. It's the status quo is extremely expensive. Like, we are wasting so much money. Incarceration is one of the most expensive ways to live. I think it costs in the Bay Area, I think nationwide it's $80,000, and in the Bay Area it's probably 3 times that. So it's nearly $300,000 to incarcerate one person for 1 year. It's like the most expensive way. And what are we getting out of that? We're getting an 80% fail rate. 80% of them are back in the system. And then, a lot of people don't know that homelessness, while the person is poor, it's a very expensive way to live, and taxpayers pay for services, police services and emergency room visits, and it's very expensive. You probably know the numbers more than me. Like, this makes conservative fiscal financial sense for us to help the people to shift the way we're looking at things and realize, no, we can turn it around. And when you intervene with one family and restore them, you're not just helping the father and the mother, you're helping the children, and you're changing the trajectory. And then those people get jobs, they start contributing to the economy, they become taxpayers.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Tracy and Ted, a lot of county health departments have done studies about their most expensive individuals who are costing the community in taxpayer dollars for emergency rooms, psychiatrists, ambulance, the fire department, police. And even in Sacramento County, there was a study that there are 91 people in Sacramento County that cost on an annual basis $221,000 to the system. And in Oakland, per person. And Oakland, I think it's their leadership, like the president of the council and her colleagues. I think they're trying to innovate as well. And in fact, in Oakland, near our campus, Tracy, there's a designated piece of leftover street that Oakland is very interested to do tiny homes. And tiny homes is another way for us to rapidly house people. Well, not rapidly. We may have to put them in the motel while we can build smaller homes. All of us could live with less, right? We have and we have to decorate and etc. and to clean and to heat. But let's build smaller homes that are 200 square feet that meets the purpose, and you create a village. And there's an opportunity in Oakland that we'd like you to come and take a look at as well.
Kathy, I'm coming up.
Well, it's our 42nd anniversary, and we're gonna have.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh, it's so perfect. Okay, yeah, so we will definitely get a day or days on the
42nd anniversary.
42nd.
Oh, hey. That's the 42 is the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything. The ultimate question, you know, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer is 42.
Oh, is that right? I forgot. Okay.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's
Is it a
obscure.
movie?
Those who know, yes, it's a book. It's a series of books. It became a movie, and they built this supercomputer, and it took it years and years and years to find the ultimate answer to life, the universe, and everything. And so they come there, and it spouts out the answer, and the answer is 42. But they didn't know the question.
I'm gonna have to watch this at some point.
Yes, everyone who knows Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy laughed at that, but those who don't,
oh my gosh, amazing.
think it's silly. Oh, all right.
Ed, I really appreciate that, you know, you organize this, and Tracy, thank you so much for your time and for caring, you know, and just getting this out, because we want many people to hear that homelessness and ending homelessness is possible.
Yeah.
Rehousing and intervening in that way, and then reuse properties, redevelopment of our community, so that we can take property that's not being used right now, and let's house our community, and let's all work together to beautify, restore, give hope, and also recycle, you know, and reuse our community.
Yeah, I mean, what you said.
Now's the time.
I second that. I mean, just unbelievable. Yes, and the time is now. And again, I am just so inspired. I cannot wait to meet you in person. I will see you in just a handful of weeks. And yes, we can talk further about how I can help and your vision. And I can't wait to meet the families. I'm really excited to meet some people in your program and hear their stories, and and get the word out. Like I said, I'm just like so excited. For lack of a better word.
Congratulations on your 42nd anniversary.
Thank you so much.
Let's come up, let's celebrate. You've done such an incredible work. And then I'm going to put on my calendar to celebrate your 84th anniversary too. We're going to come up
still, right?
And then we're going to celebrate a California without homelessness, without unemployment, without exploitation. That's my dream. And let's lay down the foundation and let's see it happen. I believe it.
And I believe it too.
All right. God bless you.
Kathy. Bye, guys. See you soon. Bye.